Hi guys, welcome back to the Midnight Story. We are going to continue this book. We're almost done, more than halfway through. Right now, we are going to continue at chapter 49 of James Patterson's Sundays at Tiffany's. But before I start, I did want to remind you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like and comment, and thank you to everyone that already has. I think I got a notification that said it was 10 hours of watch time total, which I don't know, that seems like a big deal to me. So thank you so much everyone for watching, and let's jump right in. Chapter 49. When I got home from my date with Michael, and I definitely thought it had been a date, I didn't have a chance to process any of what had just happened, because someone was in my apartment. The light in the foyer was on, and the kitchen overheads, and at least one lamp in the living room. I had a crazy thought that it might be Michael. Who knows? Maybe he could just make himself appear somewhere. Or it could be Hugh, because I thought he still had a key to my place. But if it was Michael, I didn't want to call out Hugh, or vice versa. And what an ironic dilemma for someone who was historically so bad with relationships. So I took a deep breath and said, "Hello?" "Jane, sweetie," came from the inside of my living room, and as I turned the corner, there was my mother, seated in one of my easy chairs. "I thought I'd come over," she said, "for a little talk." "Huh?" I said, thinking I'd rather be smeared with honey and tied to an anthill. "How did you get in?" "I still have a key from the remodeling." "Oh, and don't get me started on that." Suddenly, the idea of a little post-date, and it had totally been a date, cocktail sounded like an excellent idea. I headed for the cupboard, where I kept my embarrassingly inadequate supply of liquor. "Can I get you something, Mom?" Vivian winced at the name, but I loved to call her that. Loved to know that I had an actual mom-type person. Plus, she'd just broken into my apartment, so Mom it was. "Sherry," she said. "You know what I like, Jane, sweetie." So I went and got her sherry and a stiff shot of whiskey for her put-upon daughter. I sat across from her in the other easy chair. "Cheers." "Jane, sweetie," she responded. "I don't know what's going on with Hugh, or the other one, or any others there might be in your busy life." Her tone of voice suggested that the jury was still out on whether I had a busy life, or even a life for that matter. I just couldn't help interrupting. "Wow, I'm impressed. My busy life." "Please," Vivian held up a hand, palm out. "Let me talk." I nodded and took a sip of my drink, making a face as the liquid fire trailed down my throat. "I missed Michael a lot already. Jane, sweetie, what I came here to say is that..." My mother stopped, seeming uncharacteristically at a loss for words. I frowned and sat up straighter. Was she already engaged to Carl Friedkin? "Yes," I said encouragingly, dropping the attitude. "Well, I'm not gonna be around forever, and when I'm gone, the company will be yours, and you can make whatever decisions you wish." She finished quickly, then took a deep drink of her sherry. Okay, this was a completely new tack for her. I was starting to get concerned. "What do you mean, Mother?" I said. "Don't interrupt. There's one more thing. I never told you this, but my mother died of heart failure when she was 37. You're 32. Think about it." Having said that, my mother rose to her feet, came over, and gave me a kiss on the cheek, and then she left the way she'd come in. What the hell had that been about? She thought I was going to die of heart failure? She'd been odd and unlike herself. Was she telling me that she had a heart problem? No, she would have been way more dramatic, complete with sweeping gestures and Bette Davis swoons. As usual, Vivian had gotten the last word. Chapter 50. Okay. I understand that pushing the elevator button over and over again would not make the elevator appear sooner. But I couldn't help myself. After my heart-pounding date with Michael, it was so a date, and my weird talk with the mysterious Vivian, I'd gotten about 20 minutes of sleep. Now it was the next morning, and I was praying that Michael would be waiting in the lobby to walk me to work. God, I wanted to see him again at least one more time. Please, let him be downstairs. Don't let him be gone from my life again. I considered running down the 10 flights. My Saks Fifth Avenue shopper, Vivian's birthday gift to me. And what kind of gift says you embarrass me better than a personal shopper? Had sent over a chic Lagerfeld suit, slacks and jacket in a pale bluish green silk. I thought that I looked okay in it, maybe even better than okay. Damn it, I looked good. I'd even lost 3 pounds. 3 whole pounds. That had never happened to me before. Okay, sorry. I think I just remembered, what happens later. I haven't read this book in, a long time. So, reading all of this is kind of new for me again. But I think I just remembered. Damn. Okay, damn it. I looked good. I'd even lost 3 pounds. 3 whole pounds. That had never happened to me before. The elevator finally arrived, and as I rode in it, I wanted to jump up and down to make it move faster. Jane, please relax, I told myself, and tried to listen to my own advice. When the elevator finally arrived at the lobby, I put a smile on my face, but my heart was racing off the charts. The doors opened, and then only the morning doorman Hector was standing there. Good morning, Miss Jane, he said. Good morning, Hector. How are you? I'm devastated myself. No Michael in the lobby, no Michael lurking outside the front door, no Michael anywhere that I could see. May I get you a taxi? Asked Hector. I stalled for time. I'm not sure. I may walk. Yes, of course. Beautiful day for it. Yes, it is lovely. Maybe Michael was late. Fat chance. Michael was never late. Not once when I was a kid. I guess I will need a cab, I finally said. As I waited under the building's canopy, I looked up and down the street in the hope that Michael's face would suddenly appear in the sea of business people and tourists and school children marching along Park Avenue. But Michael wasn't anywhere in the crowd. He had gone out of my life again. If so, I would kill him if it took me till the end of my days. Or at least put a collar on him with a little bell. I mean, why had he bothered to come back in the first place? Great question. As I walked into the reception area of VMAR Productions, I was feeling a little shaky, but strangely balanced about myself, about who I was, and about where I ought to be going with my life. Was that the reason Michael had come back? Because my confidence needed a little touch-up, or, to be more honest, an overhaul? Was that what Vivian was trying to say last night? I saw Elsie waving from behind the reception desk. In your office, she said. It's a surprise. Oh yes, and I was so in the mood for something unexpected. I don't like surprises even on good days, and today it was about to make me run screaming down the hall. When I opened the door, I was certainly startled, but not in a good way. It was Hugh, and he was seated at my desk, going through my mail. Now that you've done the snail mail, why don't you check my BlackBerry? I said and threw it on my desk. He leaped to his feet. Jane, he said, walking toward me with his arms spread wide. He was wearing faded jeans, black Prada boots, the watch I had given him last Christmas, and a pricey denim shirt distressed to look as if it cost $10 or less, though it probably went for a couple $100. Ignoring my look of dismay and my rigid stiffness, he hugged me and moved in for a kiss. Grimacing, I turned my head so his lips brushed against my cheek. I'm not mad at you anymore, he said. Okay, hold on. What do you mean you're not mad at me anymore? Like, last I checked, you kicked me out of your car in the middle of nowhere after cursing. Wow, wish I could say the same. Why don't you please go now? Period. I see you made it back safely from Brooklyn. You got jokes. He waited for my reaction to his little joke, which sadly for him was a narrowed eye look. I removed his hand from the small of my back, walked to my desk, and sat down. Hugh, why are you here? I'm here because you're my best girl. Come on, Jane, give me a break. Unlikely, it wasn't that my heart was cold, it was that my heart wasn't registering Hugh at all. Hugh, I've got a ton of work to do. Suddenly, a little boy, have pity on me look came over his face. Jane, I need your help. I don't ask for much. My eyebrows raised, but he went on anyway. Look, let's be honest with one another. I need this movie role. I need Thank Heaven, okay? Are you happy now? I'm humbled and I'm humiliated. I still said nothing, though I got what he was saying and even felt an iota of pity for him. Still, this was the same Hugh who'd wanted to trade an engagement ring for a movie part and who had left me stranded in Brooklyn. It's not going to happen though, Hugh. I'm sorry, honestly I am. But you're not going to get the part. You aren't Michael. I am, for God's sake, Jane. I created that character. No, you did not. You had nothing to do with creating Michael. Trust me on that. His eyes opened wider and that mean little sneer of his appeared. You disgusting little shit, he spat. Mama's little girl pretending that she's mama. Still in a fairy tale world from when you were 8 years old. I stood up behind my desk, expecting my hands to begin trembling, but they didn't. That was nasty, Hugh, even for you. I was doing you a favor volunteering to be in that piece of sentimental crap. It wouldn't even be getting made if you weren't Vivian Margot's very needy daughter. My eyes were filling with tears, but Hugh didn't seem to notice. And that was the only good thing happening. He came closer to my desk, stabbing his finger at me as he talked. You need me, Jane. I don't need you. You need my talent. I don't need yours, which is a good thing because you don't have any talent. Everything went red, just like in books, and a burning rage filled my chest. I wouldn't be so sure, I said. Watch this, Hugh. I pulled my arm back and punched Hugh in the face as hard as I could. Silence. We were both stunned. Hugh had both hands over his left eye, but his right eye was wide and staring. A second later, intense pain filled my hand, and I looked down to see if I'd broken any knuckles. My God, Jane, have you completely gone out of your mind? With my typical luck, my mother had arrived just in time to see me slug Hugh. Excellent. I was sure I'd be able to live this down someday, right after Vivian finally recovered from the outfit I'd chosen to wear to my 6th grade graduation, which I was still hearing about occasionally. She has, Hugh sputtered. She's gone nuts. You know, I really couldn't argue with them. I mean, what was I going to say? I wouldn't have had to hit you if my imaginary friend, possibly boyfriend, had been here. I think not. We don't condone violence, okay? Chapter 52. My mother and those damn stilettos of hers had come click-clacking into the room, not to see me, but to make sure I had accepted Hugh's lame-ass apology. Jane, what is going on? She asked. She's insane, that's what happened, Hugh cried. Nothing really, Mother, I said calmly. Hugh and I just formally broke up. Broke up, she asked. How? Why? What am I missing here? I'm lost, and I never get lost. I can see why you might be confused, I said, but after all, we were never very much of a couple to begin with, more like a solo act with a sidekick. Wide-eyed, my mother stared at me, then leaned out my office door. Mary Louise? She must have been lurking outside the office door. listening to the fireworks because she responded in record time. Get me some ice wrapped in a linen towel, Vivian said. Leave it to Vivian to specify the type of material for the towel. Hugh thanked Vivian for her concern, and she led him to the three-seater sofa against the wall. I'm okay, he said. I'll just sit here a minute. Vivian, I don't know what I did wrong. Well, as I said, he's an actor. My mother turned her attention toward me. See that, Jane? What has gotten into you? You can't go around smacking people like Hugh. You could have hurt him. She did hurt me, came Hugh's muffled voice. No more than he's hurt me, I said. I guess you haven't heard about the wedding proposal debacle? Jane, don't be flip. I'm being serious. So am I, or do my feelings not count because it's only me? Listen, Jane, this isn't your fantasy world where you can do anything you feel like, Vivian said. Oh, good thing you cleared that up, I said snippily, crossing my arms over my chest. I can't imagine anything Hugh could have done to provoke physical violence on your part. Really? Well, when you have a few hours, I'll give you the list. As for now, I want the two of you to leave my office. Vivian's cheeks flamed, and she walked toward me, stopping inches away from my desk. This is not your office. This is my office. Every ashtray, every desk, every computer, every toilet, every scrap of paper, every Xerox machine. My mouth dropped open. You wouldn't be working here if it weren't for me. You certainly wouldn't be working here if I knew you were going to physically abuse a talented actor like Hugh McGrath. I don't have to put up with behavior like this. You're right, Mother, you don't. Anger was boiling over inside me. I reached down and grabbed my black leather satchel. Then I swept as much as I could from the top of my desk, papers and letters and pens and photographs, into the bag, making sure I got my Rolodex. Don't be ridiculous, Jane. Oh, I'm not, Mother. I'm being as sane as I've been in years. Then I added, because I'm me. I'm sorry. I walked past her and I walked past Hugh, and suddenly I had a crazy thought. No kiss today, Mother? At the door, I almost collided with Mary Louise. As I headed down the hallway toward the elevator, I heard her say, They didn't have a linen towel, Miss Margot. You'll have to settle for cotton. 53. That morning, Michael had donned his headphones and jogged over to the Olympia Diner to see Patty, to make sure she was all right, but she wasn't there. So he sat down, had a big, greasy breakfast, and tried to make some sense out of everything that was happening. Like the fact that he thought he was falling in love with Jane Margot. He had all the classic symptoms: pounding heart, sweaty palms, dreamy lapses in attention, a certain degree of immaturity, happiness in just about every part of his body. After last night, he had to see Jane again. Today. Worse, he had to kiss her again. He'd meet her at her office tonight. He couldn't make himself stay away, even if it might be the right thing to do for all concerned. When he got home from breakfast, he nearly ran into Patty and her daughter. They were leaving his building. What was this? Not good. Patty was crying, and the little girl looked sad and displaced too. Michael had seen that look many times before with his kids, and it always broke his heart. Hi, Patty, he said, then immediately bent down to talk to the little girl. Hello, sweetheart. Your name is Holly, right? What's going on? My mommy's sad, she said. She broke up with her boyfriend, Owen. Yeah, your mommy's very strong, though, tough as nails. Are you okay? I guess so. I talked to my friend Martha about it. Then the girl whispered, She's invisible, you know. Ah, I do know, actually, Michael said, since Martha was standing right there, looking concerned. She gave him a little wave. Hi, Michael said, and winked at Holly. How are you, Martha? Martha made a so-so gesture with her hand, and Michael stood up. You're a terrific person, Patty, you know that, right? Owen is a not ready for grown-ups player, he said. No beating around the bush about that. Thank you, Michael. Not your fault, Patty said. My fault. Then she picked up Holly and hurried down the front steps with Martha right behind. Owen is a shit, Martha muttered to Michael as she passed him. He watched the trio leave, ran up the 4 flights to his floor with no plan in mind. He headed for Owen's door and was about to pound the hell out of it, but stopped himself. Screw it, Owen Pulaski wasn't worth it and probably never would be. Something had probably happened in his childhood to mess him up. In fact, it had probably happened to a lot of men. But he couldn't fix that, could he? He couldn't fix that little boys weren't allowed to show their emotions, and that seemed unfair to them. It made them angry as hell, sometimes for the rest of their lives, so that they took it out on everybody, but especially women. Suddenly, the door opened and Owen was standing there. He looked startled to see Michael, and a guilty expression crossed his face, but he immediately wiped it away and put on a big shit-eating grin. Hey Mike, what's happening, bro? So Michael hit him. I'm judging you, Owen. Consider yourself judged. But then, being Michael, he reached down and helped the big lug up off the floor. I'm telling you, Owen, you've got it all wrong. There's nothing better than love in this life. This is a tall order, but find somebody to love you and try your hardest to love her back the best you can. And not Patty, or I'll be back. Having said that, Michael hit the streets again. He needed to see Jane now. Chapter 54. 23 minutes later, maybe 25, but who was counting? Michael was in an elevator headed up to Jane's office. This couldn't wait. When the doors opened, he could tell that something was wrong. Instead of Elsie's usual welcoming smile, she looked upset. I'm going back to see Jane, Michael said. She's not here. I was hoping she was with you. Jane walked out of here half an hour ago. Michael could hear Vivian talking loudly behind the door. Then he recognized the shrill voice of the bad actor named Hugh. He couldn't understand what they were saying, but caught the words Jane and crazy, and they both seemed to be in some kind of panic. That girl has no idea how much I love her, Vivian said. No idea at all. What happened to her, Michael asked Elsie. Is Jane all right? Well, I'm not sure, but she had a terrible fight with her mother and her boyfriend. Michael began to interrupt. He's not her boyfriend. Then he stopped himself. Elsie continued. All I know is Jane stormed out of here and she said, hold all my calls forever. Elsie had barely finished when the door opened and Vivian and Hugh stepped out. Hugh was holding a towel against his face. Michael hoped someone had hit him. Someone like Jane. Vivian's voice was venomous as she spoke to Michael. You had something to do with this. Jane has never acted this way before. You corrupted her. She was wagging her finger at him like a stern school teacher at Superficial Academy. I don't know what you're talking about, Michael broke in. Jane is an adult and she's incorruptible, unlike Hugh. Hugh's eyes narrowed, and suddenly he rushed at Michael and threw a haymaker sort of punch, the kind that would have been choreographed on a stage set. Michael blocked it easily and, without thinking, crunched an uppercut into the pit of Hugh's stomach. The actor doubled over and then sat down on the floor, more startled than hurt. And Michael was even more stunned, 2 punches in less than an hour. I'm sorry, Michael said, but then he changed his mind. Well, I'm not. You've been asking for that, Hugh. I'm a little sorry about Owen. I'm glad I hit you. Elsie, call 911, Vivian said. Call security, call somebody. And you, she snarled at Michael. You keep away from Jane and Hugh, and don't you dare come to this office again. Michael said, how about 2 out of 3? Chapter 55. The next thing Michael knew, he was out on the street again. He experienced the same symptoms he had earlier, but in a more troubling way. Anxiety, fear, and uncomfortable pressure on his chest. He had the same questions about Jane and about himself too. One thing he didn't have was Jane's cell phone number. He thought of that as he passed one of the few public telephones left in New York. There was no point in going to Jane's apartment. If she left her office in a fury, she wouldn't go someplace where Vivian could easily find her. So where would she go? He kept walking, and when he got tired of walking, he began running, and when he got tired of running, he just ran faster. People gave him a wide berth on the sidewalk, as if he were crazy, and maybe they were right about that. New Yorkers knew crazy. He slid on his headphones and listened to Corinne Bailey Rae. That helped some. Corinne was a calming influence, not heading anywhere in particular. He ran up Riverside Drive, and at 110th Street, the soaring spires of the Cathedral of St. John the Divine began to fill the sky. Actually, this street was known as the Cathedral Parkway, and St. John the Divine was the largest cathedral in the world. That was because St. Peter's in Rome wasn't classified as a cathedral. Michael knew about such things. He had always read a lot, considered himself a student. He pulled open one of the smaller doors that was cut into the huge ones. Then he walked in, knelt, and blessed himself. The church was enormous, at least a couple hundred yards in length, and suddenly he felt small. He remembered hearing or reading somewhere that the Statue of Liberty would fit comfortably under the central dome. That looked about right. Michael felt so human, kneeling here in the cathedral, and he wasn't sure if he liked it, but he also wasn't sure that he didn't. Chapter 56. Michael turned off the music in his headphones and began to pray. He wanted answers, needed answers, but none seemed to be coming his way. Finally, he raised his head and looked around the magnificent church. He'd always liked everything about the cathedral, the blend of French, Gothic, and Romanesque styles, the chapels radiating from the ambulatory, the Byzantine columns and arches, voices echoing, and organists practicing somewhere. God lives here. He must, Michael thought. A calm came over him as his eye fell on the magnificent rose window situated over the altar. His heart quieted some. Then, to his utter amazement, a tear formed in his eye. It welled up, blurred his vision, and rolled down his cheek. "What is happening to me?" he whispered. He'd cut himself shaving, knocked down 2 guys in the same day, though both had deserved it, and now he was crying. In fact, an overwhelming sadness was overtaking him. So this is what sorrow feels like? This is the ache in the heart, the catch in the throat that he had heard and read so much about? He'd never felt it before, though, and it was so painful and unpleasant that he wanted it to stop. He snapped his fingers, but nothing happened. He really wasn't in control here, was he? He was lost, floundering, confused. The intense pumping in his heart had been replaced by a small stabbing hurt, and with the hurt came clarity, a sense of knowledge, a horrible sense of knowledge, and maybe a message? Was that what was happening? Michael thought that he had an answer to his prayers, but he didn't want this to be it. He thought he knew why he was back in New York and why he'd met up with Jane Margot. These feelings, kind of like premonitions, had always preceded his new assignment, and he was having one now. The message was very clear, and he couldn't remember any of the feelings ever being so anguished before. Not once, not ever, as far back as he could remember. "Oh no," he whispered out loud. "That can't be it." But it was, wasn't it? It made sense of everything that had happened up to now. This was a missing piece to the puzzle that he had been trying to solve. It explained why he had found Jane. Of course it did. It was a perfect answer. He looked up at the glorious rose window again, then at the altar. This couldn't be happening, but clearly it was. Many years ago, Michael had helped guide Jane into this life. He had eased her way, been her imaginary friend until he had to leave her when she turned 9. And now he was the one who had been chosen to bring Jane out of life. He understood this now. He got it. This was about human mortality, wasn't it? Jane was going to die. That was why he was here in New York. So remember when I was saying earlier, oh my God, like I remember when her mom, okay, anyway, because we still got the rest of the book, child. I kind of want to keep going. I'm gonna stop here. All right, guys, I'm gonna stop there. So that's it for the night. Jane's dying. Michael finally figured out why he was back in New York. This is his new assignment. So I guess he's a death doula. I don't know. What do they call them? I don't know why I want to cry. This is so sad. She's had not a good life, and now she's dying. All right, well, good night. Thank you for watching. I will see you guys. Actually, I'm gonna do another video next week, and I'm gonna record it at the hotel I'm staying at. For my birthday next week. I will be 33. Yes. So happy birthday to me, and as a gift from you to me, subscribe to the channel. Like, so simple. I would love that and appreciate that so much. All right, but I'm gonna get out of here, guys. Good night. Thank you. Bye.